Coming up tonight on YCN News, New Hampshire State Police need your help in a Charlestown home invasion. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie is in Henniker, New Hampshire. And Fall Mountain and Newport meet in local softball action. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN News, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Thursday, May 7th. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. We begin tonight's news on a serious note. New Hampshire State Police continue to seek the public's help for information leading to the names or whereabouts of the two men suspected in a home invasion in Charlestown with injury to the homeowner. A woman alone at home was overcome by two men in their 20s when she opened the door to let her pet dog outside. She tried to fight them off but was unable to. A contractor doing work at this home at 437 River Road found the woman tied up in the home's basement about 9 hours after the burglary. State and local police were then notified and went to the home this past Monday morning at about 8:30 a.m. The 60-year-old woman was in critical medical condition due to an existing medical condition. She was taken to Valley Regional Hospital in Claremont. The woman continues to recover. Taken during the robbery were several items of jewelry, as well as several gold and silver coins and bars. The suspects are believed to be white males, possibly in their 20s or early 30s. Anyone with information is urged to call the New Hampshire State Police at 603-223-8494. Turning to political news now, possible candidate for President Chris Christie spoke this evening at New England College in Henniker. Now the governor of New Jersey, Christie, is exploring the idea of running for president. YCN News will bring you this story tomorrow. Please tune in. Well, it has been 36 years since the revolution in Iran that ended U.S. ties to the Middle Eastern nation. Today in Washington, in a 98-1 vote, the Senate approved an Iran review bill, that according to the Hill newspaper. Today's vote means legislation allowing Congress to review a nuclear deal with Iran will move forward. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont said in a separate news release, today's bill gives the Obama administration the tools it needs to use diplomacy to stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen concurs, saying in a press release that the bill reaffirms Congress's proper role in providing oversight of the president's foreign policy while still allowing the administration to pursue a hard-nosed agreement with Iran to curtail its nuclear capabilities. Meanwhile, turning to a poetic note, Todd Huron is the Dartmouth poet in residence at the Frost Place. Now, this nonprofit arts group and museum honors the legacy of late poet Robert Frost and allows today's literary artists to continue their craft. Huron is the 39th resident poet. Beyond writing poems and plays, he's a member of the Boston-based Bridge Theater Company. Huron plans to work on a new book entitled Crows in Eden, a hybrid project that mixes poetry, drama, and prose. To learn more about the Frost Place, including events and readings, you can go online to frostplace-.org. Coming up on YCN News, a tick disease prevention plan is in place in New Hampshire. May is Preservation Month. We'll explain what that means. And Mike Pizzone has local softball action and a check of that beautiful weather forecast when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. Well, warmer weather is here, and so are the chances of being infected by tick bites or related outdoor illnesses. The New Hampshire State Department of Health and Human Services reminds people to check for ticks or signs of tick bites on their bodies. And check your pet, too, after a walk or romp through the woods. To learn more about what to look for, check out the website listed on the screen. Now, the most serious illness to come from tick bites is Lyme disease. State epidemiologist Dr. Benjamin Chan says Lyme disease remains a major public health issue. Meanwhile, don't be scared off by ticks. To explore the outdoors, take clothing protections and spray, and take photographs of your favorite historical places. The State Division of Historical Resources is asking Granite Staters to share images on their favorite New Hampshire historical places online. My New Hampshire will include images of historic buildings and structures, residential neighborhoods, downtowns, historic or rural landscapes, and archaeological sites. In addition to the images, photographers are asked to provide the photo's location and a short description of why the place is special to them. Now, anyone submitting a photo must acknowledge that they hold its copyright or that the photo is in the public domain. Photos received by September 8, 2015 may be used to illustrate the next edition of New Hampshire's 5-year preservation plan from 2016 to 2020. For more information, use the contact information that you see on the screen. And a reminder that this Saturday is the annual Stamp Out Hunger Food Drive, arranged by the United States Postal Service. Pickup of non-perishable items will take place this Saturday, May 9th. All items go to local food pantries. Coming up on YCN News, River Valley Chronicle host Elizabeth Zerazio sat down with Charlene Lovett for a chat about the Claremont Opera House. That's coming up next on YCN News.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. It's been hard to complain about the weather these past few days, and it doesn't look like that'll change as we wind down the week. Skies will remain clear tonight with 5-mile-per-hour winds and a nice warm low of 58 degrees. The sun will be back out in full force tomorrow with clear skies and a high of 77 during the day, before bottoming out at about 50 degrees tomorrow evening. Some clouds will move in time for Saturday, making for partly sunny skies and a high of 79 degrees. Those clouds will stick around Saturday evening, keeping things relatively warm with a low of around 61 degrees. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to get a sneak peek at what's happening this weekend. The Third Congregational Church of Alstead will hold its annual Mother's Day plant sale on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. All proceeds will benefit the church's missions committee. Call the number on the screen to find out more. A yard sale to benefit the Greater Springfield, Vermont Area Habitat for Humanity will be held Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon at 8 Union Street in Springfield, Vermont. A variety of items will be on hand, so stop by and make an offer. The Claremont Elks Club on Pleasant Street in Claremont, New Hampshire will host its annual Mother's Day breakfast on Sunday from 7 to 10 a.m. Mothers eat free, and the cost is $7 for non-mothers. Menu items include omelets, smoothies, and much more. There was even more double local high school action yesterday, so I headed to Newport to see how the school's softball team would respond after suffering its first 2 losses of the season. The final score may not suggest it, but yesterday's win over Fall Mountain was anything but stressless for a Newport softball team that headed into the game fresh off back-to-back losses. The Tigers led 3-0 going into the 3rd inning, but Fall Mountain cut its deficit to 1 in the top of the frame with help from this sacrifice bunt from Maggie Haley that plated Sophie Bushy and an RBI single off the bat of Erin Devaney. Newport added 2 more runs in the 3rd with help from a Stephanie Carl home run and a triple from Kendall Hamilton to increase its lead to 5-2, and 6 more in the 4th behind a 3-run homer from Carl for what was the junior's 3rd home run of the game to increase its lead to 11-5. The Wildcats didn't go down quietly though, as a leadoff triple from Devaney in the 5th and a sacrifice bunt from Colleen Harridan had the visiting team celebrating its 7th and final run. Sarah Marsden pitched well for the Wildcats, who are now 5-3, but it was Samantha McNeil who earned the win from the circle, surrendering 2 earned runs on 7 hits and 3 walks while striking out 7. McNeil said after the game that her team was more focused than usual heading into the contest after suffering its first losses of the season.
We were definitely more focused. We had a lot of practice yesterday to get ready for this game. I felt like our effort was pretty good. I mean, we should have used a little more, but for the most part, it was pretty good.
I also spoke with Carl, who added that offense wasn't the problem during her team's rough patch, rather inconsistent defense.
Knowing that we need to come into this game with our heads up, our heads held high, and knowing that we needed to come back from all the struggles we've been having lately. Our bats have been really good lately, and they've actually been very much alive, but the errors are killing us right now.
Newport coach Sam McNeil said his team's mistakes have mostly been a result of pressure and not a lack of softball knowledge, which, the team's first-year coach said, is something he's hopeful can be fixed as the season progresses.
These girls know what they need to do. It's the moment. Sometimes they get caught up in that moment and they lose touch on reality of what really needs to happen. They start panicking a little bit. They just need to relax. They're all so wrapped up right now and not wanting to lose another game that they're making themselves tight. They just need to step back. You know, we talked yesterday about, you know, just because we've lost 2, don't mean we still can't make it to the championship. Because in the end, it's about fixing those mistakes, fix those mistakes so we don't make them again, and we'll go a long ways.
Both teams will be back in action tomorrow as the Tigers will travel to face Conant and Fall Mountain will host Mascoma. Derek Perry crossed the plate with the game-winning run for Newport after a tough grounder from Tanner Sherman, capping off a dramatic win over Fall Mountain. Spencer Coronis earned the win on the mound and helped his cause with an RBI in the third inning. Andrew Hood added a home run for the Tigers, who are now 4-2 and will travel to face Conant tomorrow. Zach Milius played well for the 5-3 Wildcats, driving in a pair of runs. Fall Mountain will host Mascoma tomorrow. It was a tough day for local softball teams yesterday, as Lebanon, Stevens, and Kearsarge all came up a little short on the scoreboard. Both the Raiders and Cardinals are yet to have earned a win so far this season, and the Cougars couldn't extend its win streak to 3 straight games against the Campbell team with just 1 loss on its record. Kearsarge will try and bounce back Tuesday when it hosts Merrimack Valley, Lebanon will host John Stark on Saturday, and Stevens will travel to face Bow tomorrow. The Lebanon girls lacrosse team improved to a perfect 7-0 yesterday by virtue of a 10-goal victory over Bishop Rady. Emily Perriman led the Raiders with 9 goals and 2 assists, followed by Emma Foreman with 3 scores, and Ella Burney and Erica Moffett with 2 apiece. Lebanon will be back in action tomorrow when it hosts Kearsarge. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Thanks, Mike. Capital Connections host John O'Connor is talking about the new London, New Hampshire budget as we continue a discussion with John Wilson, candidate for the Select Board in that town. Part 4 of John's interview is coming up when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.